Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Rude, and welcome to Rude Sports Talk, where you can get raw, uncensored, uncut analysis on today's and vintage sports, including pro wrestling. I'm gonna take this time to talk about the beef between Kevin Durant and Shannon Sharpe. It came about with Shannon Sharpe saying that, and he was allegedly quoting Kevin Durant, a quote that he saw from what looked like to be a disgruntled Nets fan account or something like that. They said if LeBron James is the GOAT, I beat the GOAT twice, hit the shot in his building. What does that make me? And apparently, this was a fake quote because that's what Shannon Sharpe said that Kevin Durant said. Apparently, it was found that this was a fake quote. Um, I guess Kevin Durant went to respond to Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe blocked him and said any dispute that they have, they would settle it basically out of the public eye. And Kevin Durant said, y'all drunk uncle out here lying again. When did I say this? I'm trying to look a little deeper into this. And I'm not trying to just look deeper into it because if I feel like it's something else there, then I'm going to look into it. And this is one of those situations. I want to know who's really making shit up. And here's the only reason why I'm not completely dismissing Shannon Sharp's claim that Kevin Durant said this. Now, as far as it being quoted like that, I'm not sure if it was really quoted like that. Well, I saw the quote on the disgruntled Nets fan page, but the thing is, Kevin Durant lost a lot of credibility with me personally. I can't speak for everybody. When he created that burner account to go after that college kid who criticized him. How do we know this is not a burner account that Kevin Durant is hiding behind again? Because when you do things like that, it makes me question a lot of things that you do going forward in the near future. Now, if time passes and we don't have any more incidents like that, then I let that go with time. But when it's in the near future, yeah, I'm gonna be looking at you a little bit, just like I'm looking at Kyrie. Like I said, when I made the video about Kyrie Irving, Kyrie missed a personal day, Irving. That you know, if this never happens again and he doesn't miss this many games again in the season due to personal reasons, I won't continue to talk about this season. I can move forward with time and progress. But like I say, Kevin Durant, this was a pretty recent thing with the burner account. And there have been other situations where Kevin Durant has not been able to accept criticism. Now I understand part of it. You've worked hard, which he has worked hard to get back from an Achilles injury, which is some players, especially back in the days, never returned from these injuries. And if they did, they did not return playing the way that Kevin Durant has been playing this season, which has been magnificent. So I can understand some anger from Kevin Durant. I do understand that celebrities and public figures get tired of, just like any other human being on this earth, they get tired of being criticized sometimes. Sometimes just a little bit too much for them. Sometimes they feel the need to respond, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with any athlete in any sport walking around with a chip on their shoulder. Now, for some athletes, it works better that way than others. But there's nothing wrong walking around with a chip on your shoulder, especially when it comes to playing the sport that you play, because they can help you and your teammates in this situation. But you don't have to respond to everything that everyone says. If you're a celebrity, you're gonna get talked about. Plain and simple. Everybody gets talked about, really, whether you're a celebrity or not, but especially if you're on TV, you all over social media, and you're a public figure, you're gonna get talked about. That's just how it is. That comes with the millions of dollars that these people make. You're gonna get talked about. Everybody's not gonna like you. That's just how it is. And I have no problem with Durant responding. I do have a problem with Shannon Sharpe. If this is indeed a fake quote, then I have a problem. You know, if I agree with, I totally agree with what the first part of what Shannon Sharpe said, which was Kevin Durant out by winning the titles, everybody was going to regard him as universally the best player in the NBA, better than even LeBron. But very few people were willing to go there. That's true. I do feel like at that time Kevin Durant was definitely in the argument for best player in the league. If someone said that, hey, in 2017 or 2018, Kevin Durant was the best player in the league, I'm not going to say they're full of shit because he's a great player. He's one of the all-time greats. He really is. Definitely a top, maybe even a top five small forward of all time. Maybe higher than that, maybe top four, maybe top three. By the time it's said and done, could be number one. Well, no, he's not. I don't think he's going to surpass LeBron, but who knows? Who knows what else Kevin Durant is going to do? But he has a chance to pass Larry Bird, possibly. Who knows? But that's just my list. I think LeBron James is the greatest small forward of all time. And but Shannon Sharpe does have a point with it because people were still not willing to hand KD that title as best player in the world for the simple fact, and I can't blame people, that he went to a team that you can say did not need him. If a team won 73 games, even though they lost in the finals in a game seven, if they won 73 games and won a championship before you got there, they really didn't need you to win another one, in my opinion. Like I say, they won 73 and they were one game away from winning back to back championships before Kevin Durant got there. One game. You can make the argument, one game, or you can even break it down smaller. Two plays, which was Kyrie Irving's three pointer and LeBron James block on Andre Iguodala. You can make the argument that if those two plays don't happen, Golden State wins back-to-back championships before KD gets there. So I do feel what Shannon Sharpe is saying on that. I don't think KD can, because the way that he's acting has been questionable. Has been, I even saw something the other day about him saying he doesn't care about championships. That's a bad look because that really makes it look like the naysayers on KD are right when they say, man, he went to Golden State for a free championship. It also makes them look right when they say that he's recruiting players so he can win another easy championship. That makes them look right. Now, with the Brooklyn Nets, I don't think he is. I honestly don't think he's recruiting these players. I think it's management, which I can't blame him. Hell, if I'm management now, I want all the best players on my team too. If I'm management, I have a job to do as a general manager, as a team owner. I have a job to do. My job is to build the best team possible, to build a dynasty and win as many championships and make as much money too. Which sometimes those things go hand in hand, sometimes they don't. But more often than not they do. There are rare cases where they don't, but those are my main priorities. Winning championship, making money. Sometimes it's making money over winning championship. But I have a job to do to build a team that can do both of those things, really. Like I want to do both if I'm a general manager. But once again, when you look at the all-time greats, and every all-time great had another great player on their team. If we're talking like a top 20 all-time great, they had another great player on their team. More often than not, at some point in their career, they had another great player on the team. So you know, everybody needs help. But the amount of help that Kevin Durant is getting, people are gonna look at it. Now, I'm not saying that those people are right. That are looking at it from a standpoint of, oh man, he had more help than anybody else. I mean, you look at those Lakers and Celtics teams in the '80s. Ooh, you had Magic with Kareem and Worthy, and a lot of good players like Byron Scott, Michael Cooper. Michael Cooper, one of the best defenders in the league at the time. Byron Scott was one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, which there weren't as many back then as there were now because the 3-point line, I think, when the Lakers won that last championship with Magic in '88, the 3-point line, I think, had only been around for maybe 12 years or something like that. It hadn't been very long. Then you look at the Celtics, you had Bird, you had Kevin McHale, you had Robert Parrish, Danny Ainge, Dennis Johnson, who was Finals MVP in Seattle. You had a who's who of players on those teams as well. So everybody needs help to win the championship. But however, the difference between Magic, Kareem, Bird, and then you have Kevin Durant over here, even with LeBron James. I'm putting him on Magic, Kareem, and Bird's side on this one. It was undisputed who the best player on those teams were at one point in time. Now, with Magic and Kareem, you knew, let's see, the 1980, 1982. Well, actually, I forgot. Kareem didn't even play in Game 7 of the 1980 finals, and Magic played center in that game. That's amazing. But you knew for the first part of those Lakers championships, Kareem was the best player on that team. But of course, as time went on, especially for the last two championships, it was undisputed that Magic, really for the last three, if you ask me, but especially the last two, no question, you knew Magic Johnson was the best player on the team. With Larry Bird, you knew he was better. You knew he was better than Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. With LeBron James, you knew he was better than Dwayne Wade or anybody, any championship team that he played on. He was the best player on that team. It was undisputed. But you have Kevin Durant. I mean, he earned his two Finals MVPs. He earned his two championships. I would never take championships away from a player. Whether I agree with the route that they took to get them titles or not, if they played on their court and they won, I will not take that away from a player. And I would not take those championships and Golden State away from Kevin Durant. However, those championships are not going to hold the same significance as some of the other greats. That has to be accepted for the simple fact that he went and joined. Now, in that aspect, the fact that he went and joined the team, which I have my opinion on it, but the team that beat him when the Thunder was supposed to win that series, that's irrelevant to his legacy to me. It may say something about his competitiveness, but it doesn't necessarily impact his legacy. It's more of the fact that he went and played with the reigning MVP, the reigning back-to-back MVP, by the way, Steph Curry. People at that time, people forget sometimes that people were actually questioning, damn, is Steph Curry the best player in the NBA in 2016? People were actually starting to, because he was breaking records left and right, especially with 3-pointers. His team broke the Bulls record of most wins in the season without Durant. So people were starting to question, damn, is Steph Curry the best player in the league? Let's not forget that. So Kevin Durant, who is another player that was in the argument for best player in the league, along with of course LeBron James, he goes over there with the back-to-back reigning MVP. Steph Curry has two regular season MVPs. Kevin Durant has one regular season MVP, and may never get another one. But only time will tell with that. But it's possible that neither one of them will never get another. But you just never know. If Kevin Durant, if he may come out next season to win the MVP, he can stay on the court more. He definitely has that capability. He that damn good. But I keep saying Shannon Brown. Shannon Sharp has a point when he says that people ain't gonna recognize you as universally the best player in the world because of what you did. He didn't quite say that, but that's how I took it. That's how I feel. I'm just gonna be honest. But that's what I want to know. That's why I say, is this a burner account? Did Shannon Sharp fall for the old okie doke? Did he fall for a fake page and a fake quote that somebody said and try to use that as an advantage of his LeBron love? His bromance with LeBron James. That shit gets on my nerves sometimes too. I'm not going to lie. And I like Shannon Sharp. I like Skip Bayless. I like both of them, honestly. It's just that because they contrast with each other and it's good TV to watch, and they are a little biased when it comes to certain teams and certain players. They are definitely biased when it comes to certain teams and certain players. And I'm not just talking about basketball either when I say that. However, they seem to be knowledgeable. They seem to be good at what they do. They do the research and all that there. Um, I've heard Shannon Sharp, damn. I've heard Shannon Sharp make some ludicrous um statements in favor of LeBron James. But you can say that about every announcer, every analyst that's ever been on television. They've said something that most people are going to disagree with. But they seem to be he seems to be very knowledgeable at what he does, as most of these guys are, whether fans think so or not. Some are way better than others, way better. So, but did he fall for the okie doke? Did he fall for the fake quote and was he trying to swing it in LeBron James' favor? The GOAT argument or the best player in the league argument for that matter. Was he trying to swing it even more in LeBron James' area? That's what I want to know. But only time will tell. But the only reason, and I'm just gonna be honest, the only reason I'm even questioning this is because of that damn burner account that Kevin Durant did earlier this season. If it wasn't for that, I would take Kevin Durant's word for gold on this. But nonetheless, he did it. How do we know that he is not doing it again? Or did Shannon Sharp take a quote and run with it? Who really is making shit up? But that's all I have for right now. My name is Rain Rude. Follow me on Twitter. The name is in the description. Um, I also have Rude Sports Talk available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, and Pocket Cast. Check out those sometimes because sometimes I usually talk about different things. It's mostly related to basketball, of course, and other sports, but it's different from what I put on YouTube. But my name is Ryan Rude. Please subscribe. Please comment. Let me know who y'all think is really making this shit up. And hit that like button for me, please. And